This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along to Welcome Aboard to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Tuesday, October 1. We're in October, man. Celebration of, it's not. You're not wearing a mask, are you? Not bad. Welcome in, everybody. Appreciate you joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio each and every day. Complete, total coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers athletics. The only place you can find that. Tomorrow, we'll be live from Chicago as we will be heading up to Big Ten Basketball Media Day. Heading up today, as a matter of fact. That will be taking place all day tomorrow. Indiana, of course, and the other 13 Big Ten Conference members will be speaking. Players heading up, Devontae Green and Deron Davis heading up for Indiana with Archie Miller. But we will be live from there tomorrow and then complete coverage the rest of the week. Then as we head into Saturday, Hoosier Hysteria. It's all happening, man. It's perfect timing for Indiana. They've got football has a bye week. So that works out very nicely. Tim texting into the show already. How about those Steelers? Yeah, I just wrote that down. 27-3 over the Bungles.
The Bungles, yeah.
Man, that's bad. The Steelers don't even have their quarterback, man. That's just terrible. And then tonight's game, how about this, Monday Night Football? San Francisco, who is 3-0, against the Jets. The Jets, 0-3.
There's a lot of teams that stink.
There are. There's a lot of Sunday and Monday Night Football games that stink. The Packers, how about them getting beat this week by the Eagles, man? The Patriots rolled by, I won't say, I'm not going to say what I was going to call it, but hey, we've got on the show today. I didn't even tell anybody yet, have I? It's Tuesday. It's not Taco Tuesday. It's Chronic Tuesday. Chronic Hoosier is going to be joining us. We'll also talk to Nick Baumgart as we prepare for Big Ten Basketball Media Day. That comes up tomorrow in Chicago. Andre Corbello, he has cut his list of schools to 5 schools, which he'd already done that. Indiana, Illinois, Miami, Oregon, and St. John's. He scheduled 3 visits. Miami, Illinois, and Oregon thus far. Will St. John's and Indiana get a visit? We shall see. Devontae Green and Al Durham were voted captains for Indiana men's basketball for 2019-2020. That's got to make Al Durham feel pretty good. He's a junior. Devontae Green, of course, expected to be one of these leaders. So I'm a little surprised about Deron Davis, but not a big deal. That was announced yesterday by Archie. Tim texted into the show. I saw where some former U of L players reached a settlement to restore their awards and honors and statistics for 2013, but not the title. Yeah, I saw that too. Glad you brought that up, Tim. That's kind of unique. It's like the NCAA saying, okay, well, it happened, but it didn't really happen. You can have the awards, but the awards you have the game for, the game didn't really exist, where that didn't really happen. It's kind of silly. But it's good for those guys to be able to call themselves MVP and all of that. What are you going to say? Oh, no, you earned the MVP, but you're not MVP. Okay. Hey, hit us up on the text line if you feel free, 812-269-6367. I should give that number out more. 812-269-6367. Man, a lot of basketball this week. All day tomorrow. We'll be stuffed full of basketball. We'll be broadcasting live from Chicago, as I said, for the Big Ten Basketball Media Days, as we did for football. You know, this is the only radio broadcast that covers Indiana athletics. Day in, day out, baby. All IU, all the time. We'll see if we can get the players in tomorrow. I'm not sure the timing's going to work out, unfortunately, because with football, they're there for 2 days. Basketball, they just slide in and slide out. It's a little different. I'm not sure it's going to work out. Michael Penix, Freshman of the Week, that came out yesterday. Yeah, they saw what we saw. The dude's bad. Indiana football's in good shape, I'm telling you. They've got to get some things worked out on the defensive side. Offensively, I go back, baby. Play the tapes. Go to the tape. I said it early in the season before the season started. This offense could be prolific. Those are the words I used, prolific. Look what we've seen in just a little bit of the action we've seen with Mike Penix. He's only been able to start 3 games. 1 true test. And man, oh man, did he shine. Of course, it's not just Michael Penix. You got to have receivers, and you have to have, how about that offensive line? Patched up together offensive line with a true freshman getting thrown to the wolves. Giving up 1 sack. And allowing Stevie Scott to rush for more average yards against Michigan State than anybody has in a long time. And he was so close to busting one. There was one that he just, oh my God, the guy tripped him. Barely tripped him up on the next step. He was gone. He was going to obliterate the rushing numbers that Ohio State had been holding people to. What did I say, Michigan? Michigan State. But I'm waiting for him to bust one. That's the one thing he hasn't shown, that burst speed. He's more of a power back, a smooth power back. He doesn't have that Tevin Coleman, get out of here, see you later, rocket fuel speed. I'm a little surprised we haven't seen Cole Guest a little bit more involved. He is pretty quick. Saw Ronnie Walker get the ball a few times. Men's soccer heads north tonight. Up north. Northwestern. I think Indiana played them earlier in an exhibition match. Yeah. Which is odd. Why would you play an exhibition match against somebody you play in league? A little strange. It's a little strange. Hey, Chronic Hoosiers on today. We'll always look forward to talking to the Chronic, Nick Baumgart, newly anointed basketball analyst for Indiana Rivals / thehoosier.com. Of course, Nick's been coming on the show for a couple of years now. We knew it before they knew it. That's why we bring you the best. How about the Big Ten Power Rankings? These are my Big Ten Power Rankings. I got Ohio State at the top, of course, followed by Wisconsin. There's your prediction of the Big Ten championship right there already. Those 2 teams are far and away shown to be the class of the Big Ten thus far this year. But right behind them, you got to put Penn State and see what happens, because you know Ohio State and Penn State get to play this year. And then you've got Michigan in the number 5. No, I'm sorry. Iowa in the number 4 spot. Of course, Iowa and Wisconsin will play. So the top 4 teams right now, they're going to play. We'll see. So the victor goes the spoils. The Hawkeyes sitting at number 4. Number 5, Michigan. Only because, and that's where it starts to get murky. You got Michigan State at number 6. I've got them just in front of Indiana because they barely beat Indiana on the road. And this is where I have Indiana at 7. Most people don't. I got Minnesota at 8 behind Indiana. I got Indiana at 7. Indiana plays in a much more difficult division, and that's going to show itself. I think Indiana knocks off Michigan. How about that? I've said it. I think they beat one of these big 4 this year. I hoped it was going to be Michigan State. It was not. But Michigan is maybe the best opportunities. They get the Wolverines at home. But I've got Minnesota rolling that boat at 8. Then Nebraska. Then Northwestern. Then Maryland, who is appearing to be a fraud after early on looking like they were just going to destroy people. They did destroy people. Of course, they weren't playing anybody, but they did beat Syracuse. They beat the snot out of Syracuse. But then what happened to them? My God, they've been outscored like 2,000 to nothing. Fraud. Purdue. Purdue's in big trouble. Purdue is in big trouble. They've lost Sindelar probably for the season, their quarterback. Worse, Rondale Moore out for an undisclosed amount of time with a leg injury. 2 best players right off the top. You lost your 2 best players. You're in trouble. Then, of course, Illinois in 13th. And 14th, how can you not go with Rutgers, who just fired their coach yesterday and their offensive coordinator? I mean, in the middle of the season. That's unusual. The coach, that happens. That's still not that. It's kind of rare. But to gut the coaching staff, your head coach and your offensive coordinator, that's your top 2 coaches probably. So now you've got a ship. You just took the top 2 captains away from this ship. That cannot make it easy for that team. Easier. I mean, I don't know. That's a tough deal doing that in the middle of the season. That's a tough deal. Another text into the show. Lander, as in Christian Lander from Evansville, writes, says he liked the Louisville visit because it was different. It was outside on 4th Street Live. Also got to meet a few former players. One of them was NBA's Donovan Mitchell. He sounds very impressed. We need to have him meet Romeo and Victor Oladipo, Thomas Bryant, etc. I'm not concerned about. I don't think people should be concerned about Louisville. Louisville needs to be concerned about Louisville and the NCAA, who is going to come calling soon. I mean, do they not see what's going on at Georgia Tech and Kansas? The letter is coming. It's coming. That's the thing. And if Georgia Tech gets a postseason ban, I'm thinking Louisville gets 2 years. How do you not? They committed major infractions while on probation for committing major infractions. We'll see. But, Christian Lander was down at Louisville's big visit. But Chris Mack's doing an unbelievable job. He's got them in a top preseason top 10 ranking. He's taken that team from 0. They were at the bottom of the sea just a couple of years ago. When Pitino got fired, they were at the bottom of the barrel, man. But look what happens quick. You get the right coach in, bam, bam, look what happened. Hello. Too bad that's not happening in Indiana. We got a lot coming up here on the program today. It's a Chronic Tuesday. Chronic Hoosier is going to be joining us. Nick Baumgart's on the show as well. We're going to hear from Tom Allen. Donovan Hale, all kinds of stuff to get to. Appreciate you joining us here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, back with Chronic Hoosier right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moyer.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Tuesday. You know what that means. It's a Chronic Tuesday. Chronic Hoosiers with us. Chronic, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Happy to be back.
Man, it is the 1st of October, man. I can't believe it's already here.
You know, if you didn't have a calendar in front of you, just stepping outside and feeling these temperatures, you'd probably think it was July 4th weekend right now. It's always great when fall arrives in Bloomington, but it'd be awful nice if we could actually feel it when we stepped outside. Give us a couple days. I think we'll get there, but it's going to be a hot one.
I hear you, man. Speaking of fall football, man, did we have a football game over the weekend up in East Lansing last Saturday. The Hoosiers go on the road, number 25 ranked Spartans. Of course, they don't have any chance to win this game, but wait, look, all of a sudden, 2 minutes to go, we're tied.
Yeah, stop me if you've heard this one before, but Indiana football was 2 plays away from a major upset against the division opponent, and what could have been a program-turning game, and they fell just short. I am beside myself at what I just witnessed.
Man, I hate that for this team. They played so well. Michael Penix and that entire offense, Stevie Scott, the offensive line, this patched together offensive line against this vaunted rush defense that number 2 or 3 in the country. And man, not only did Kalen DeBoer have an excellent scheme against them, it damn near worked.
Yeah, it did. It did. You watch enough Indiana football, and you kind of know exactly where this game's heading. Midway through the third quarter, Indiana's in it. They're competitive late. And yet, even knowing exactly how it's going to end, this is one of those where perhaps hope sprung a little bit higher than what it normally does. It's just devastating and predictable at the same time, I suppose. I am not a subscriber to moral victories, at least in the realm of Indiana football. But honestly, it's hard to leave this game feeling anything but. I definitely don't want to take participation trophy out of it, but I definitely lead this weekend with a whole lot more confidence. One, in just everything, the dynamics that Michael Penix brings to this offense, the way in which they were able to exploit a really, really good defense, an elite-level defense, using the running backs out of the backfield and pass options, just kind of negating Michigan State's dominance in the box. I just thought it was a wonderful performance on the offense as a whole. Really disappointed the defense fell a couple plays short. It's just too bad they couldn't find a way to get a stop at the end of that game, because who knows what overtime would have held for them. But I'll say this much, man, all the equivocating aside, you got to feel a whole lot better about this Hoosiers football team after that game than where we did, with only Ohio State as the true kind of bellwether as far as how this team's going to stack up against some of the top competition in the division. And, I think Indiana showed that, when they've got their stuff together, this is a team that can play pretty much anybody now short of Ohio State and give them a game. And, hopefully, maybe, by the grace of God, at some point they can walk out of one of these things victorious, because Lord knows they've been close enough too many times for me to count at this point.
Yeah, I started looking through the schedule, and I picked 7 wins for this team early in the season, and I said I wouldn't be shocked at 8. And then after the Ohio State game, I'm like, whoops, give me that pencil with the eraser on it. But this team is for real, man, and I still think that they can win 7 games. As a matter of fact, they've got some tough games on their schedule, like at Nebraska, at Purdue, that I think are more than winnable games right now, and I think that Indiana can do what they weren't able to get done in East Lansing, but I think they can do that. They showed they're not afraid to play on the road. Michael Penix, redshirt freshman, it is only his 3rd start in front of 70,000 people in Spartan Stadium. I was like, wow, that's impressive. He's just standing up there gunslinging. It doesn't matter where he is. This team's not going to be afraid to play someplace. That's not going to matter. I think they've got a very bright future ahead, and it starts with this season. I don't see how this team doesn't go bowling, and I think that they've got this win in them. I wouldn't be shocked to see them go to Nebraska, win at Nebraska, and then beat Michigan at home. Hello, how about that for a hot take?
No, you know what? It sounds crazy to say it out loud until you actually do, until you look at it. But, Indiana is right now, when you look at the remaining schedule, Bill Connolly at ESPN now has them as heavy favorites against Rutgers and Northwestern, favorite against Purdue, effectively toss-ups against Maryland, Nebraska, Michigan. They're only right now a heavy underdog against Penn State. And like I was just saying, I think this team has proven now that they can come out and compete with some of the big boys. They've proven that they can be effective offensively when Michael Penix is under center form. There's still a lot of things with this defense that I think are correctable at this point. Whether or not we have enough road to get things to get it back in that lane defensively, we'll see if that bears true. But we've seen an Indiana team in the past where it's all about getting points on the board. And if it comes to shootout, I think you got to like Indiana's chances with Penix in the backfield. Again, assuming that they can continue to stay healthy. I think that was probably my biggest takeaway as well, was just how well this line, the offensive line, was able to rally after Coy Cronk went down and really held their own against, again, I don't think you can understate how tough that Michigan State front seven is. Those are some big boys there. And they did their job. And, I felt like the offensive scheme going into that was extremely effective. Getting the ball out of Penix's hands is, rather quickly, not giving them a whole lot of time to get in the backfield and be very disruptive. I like where we're at. Again, this is one of those weird points in the year now that the calendar's turned October. We've got a decent baseline as far as data points, as far as, comparisons from what everybody's put on tape thus far. That said, though, it's also one of those points in the seasons where a lot of seasons tend to turn for teams. I'm looking at Nebraska, I'm looking at Maryland, two teams that at least on paper early on had the potential to be a really tough matchup for Indiana. And then a couple of the most recent games give you a little bit more optimism. Maybe throw Michigan in that boat as well. This is usually where teams kind of do some soul searching, though, and figure out where their season's going to end. And unfortunately, in years past, usually those decisions are made and put on display against teams like Indiana. So the Hoosiers are basically going to have to continue to play every one of these games out for the remainder of the schedule, like their season depends on it, because the postseason chances very may well. But at the end of the day, the numbers look good from a probability standpoint, from performance metrics. This is an Indiana team that can compete. This is an Indiana team that should have the ability to play 13 games this year. And I remain more confident than ever that not only will that happen, but anything short of that's going to be a pretty big disappointment for what this team's capable of.
Yeah, I was more than impressed with the performance of the offense and Michael Penix. I mean, my gosh, at one point he throws 20 consecutive passes, and the pass that broke the streak was not an incomplete pass. It was a pass to Ty Freifogel into the end zone that he just didn't get his foot down in the end zone, and so it was no good. He comes right back with a pass to the other side to Donovan Hale. I love how he was able to put his passes in so many different places and stretch that defense. And, I was in the post game, we were interviewing. I remember at the time we were talking to Stevie Scott and a reporter named Graham Couch, who I've had on the show from the East Lansing Journal. He said to Stevie, you guys did to this defense what I haven't seen done in a calendar year. What did you see? I mean, he was impressed. So Indiana did something that other teams had not done to Michigan State in quite some time. And to do it on the road, quite impressive.
Yeah, something that no Indiana quarterback's ever done, putting together 20 consecutive completions. I mean, that was just – and, again, I think you got to credit the offensive staff for drawing up the game plan like they did. It was a master class in how to attack a defense that's just that effective, man. The thing is, and it kind of sucks that the bye week falls at this point in the year. I was like, see, it's a little bit later. We've got a week off before Rutgers comes to town for homecoming. But now the test becomes, can you sustain it? Can they continue to maintain that level of intensity, that level of focus? Can they continue to improve upon the things that we've seen since week one and continue to build upon them? And, the way the schedule sets up this year with Rutgers being one of the less competitive Big Ten games ahead, I think the goal in this one is obviously win the game, ideally cover, and not just because there's a lot of Hoosiers now that have a degenerate interest in that point total and spread, but continue to exceed expectations and continue to maintain the momentum that hopefully they were able to take out of it. Because, again, there are no moral victories. I know Tom Allen believes that. I know most people around the program believe that. But at the end of the day, too, you also have to have measured improvement. And I think it's hard to walk away from that game feeling like there was any sort of regression whatsoever, perhaps except for some of the tackling, some of the defensive stuff that, again, I think can still get cleaned up. But more than anything, maintain that energy, maintain that focus, and keep that momentum going, and use Rutgers as a boost heading into some really, really critical games here this month. When you look at that stretch between Maryland, Nebraska, and then Northwestern, I mean, that right there is pretty much your season, whether or not this team's going to be bowl eligible, whether or not 7 wins is in the cards for this team, whether or not they can really fulfill what it seems like should be their natural potential at this point in the year.
Absolutely, and this Ohio State team, man, they sure shown that was not that loss is not looking quite so bad now as they continue doing that to everybody they play. Man, they went out and pummeled Nebraska.
No, absolutely, and it definitely looks at this point like it's a two-horse race for the Big Ten title and a shot at the Rose Bowl, if not the college playoff between Ohio State and Wisconsin right now. I mean, two teams just absolutely steamrolling opponents. We'll see where it all pans out at the end. I'm kind of the subplot here. I'm interested to see what that Michigan-Ohio State matchup looks like, because that may well be the end of the Jim Harbaugh era at Michigan if they continue to underperform and continue to get their lunch eaten by the Buckeyes. It's going to be awful hard for those folks up in Ann Arbor to continue to see Ohio State excelling at the level they are, even after a coaching change, while the Golden Child continues to fail to produce for them. But that could be another one of those shakeups in the Big Ten East down the road that Indiana continues to have to navigate, because in Michigan fashion, they're not going to make the next coach take a pay cut. I'd be interested to see where they transition after the Harbaugh era, but it's certainly got to be tough for them to watch up there.
Yeah, a loss to Indiana certainly would not help Harbaugh's cause this season, that's for certain.
No, but I love where Indiana catches them at, as they have been wont to do here as of late. It's one of those matchups where it makes it a little easier perhaps for the Wolverines to overlook the Hoosiers when they got Ohio State the following weekend on the calendar, coming off that in-state rivalry matchup against Michigan State, who they have before Indiana. So I love IU's positioning there, a road game here. Well, the road game for the Wolverines, home game for Indiana. We'll see where it all shakes out, but it's never a dull moment in the Big Ten East, man. That's for sure.
Since we spoke last, we had IU basketball media day. Last week, we got to meet with the players, we got to talk to Archie a little bit, and then, of course, Big Ten Media Days. Tomorrow, we'll be live from Chicago for that. But then this weekend, Hoosier Hysteria, so all kinds of Indiana basketball coming out this week.
Yeah, this is absolutely one of my favorite times in the sports calendar. You've got football as a whole, college and pro, in full swing, baseball playoffs, basketball starting to warm up. Indiana soccer continuing, getting into the meat of their season here as they head into the Big Ten schedule. It really is just a sports fan's delight. Interesting decision in the captains yesterday. Kind of had a sense that Devontae Green, being the senior guard on this team, would likely get slotted for that. But I was a little intrigued by the Al Durham call. I can absolutely understand where that comes from. You look at Al's work rate. You look at the kid's just everything he did for Indiana. I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find any more players that are out there, putting in more steps, burning more calories, spending more hours in cook hall in the weight room than Al does. That's kind of been his calling card since the kid showed up, especially, for an Archie-led team that loves to see not just vocal leadership, but especially leadership by example. I think Al's a natural fit for it. The other side of that coin, a little surprised to see that Deron Davis didn't get the nod as well, being the other senior scholarship member of the roster. And that very well could be a message from Archie that he still expects more from Deron. Soccer, we talk about who wears the armband. That's not that somehow just disqualifies everybody else on the roster from showing leadership. But I found that a little bit interesting. I also found it interesting. I think they gave an award to every single player on that team at some point yesterday on social media. I lost track of all the ribbons that got handed out. But it sounds like a lot of guys had some good off seasons. There's a lot of expectation for a lot of these guys to come out and contribute immediately. Again, I'm just excited to get a look at the boys for the first time here this weekend at Hysteria. Give the recruits an opportunity to see what that gym looks like when it's full and full-throated with a bunch of Indiana fans cheering on those boys in candy stripes. And more than anything, man, just happy to be back in the gym, happy to be back in basketball season. Everything's right in the universe again when that's on.
Yeah, the fans are going to be out in abundance. Looking forward to this weekend's matchups with Hoosier Hysteria. A lot of visits on the way. Hassan Diarra was in town this past weekend. I know that Trey Galloway and Anthony Leal and Christian Lander, a target of Indiana, will be in attendance. It's not been announced yet whether or not Dawson Garcia, their top target right now, will be in attendance. I know that that's somebody that they are really, really trying to get there. and to get that locked down. But Archie's going to be under some pressure this year to perform.
You know, it's this is one of those seasons, I think, for Arch that really sets the table. It's certainly not a contract year for him. Fred came out last week and very much threw some cold water on that notion, talking about the bloggers living in mama's basement. Nice use of an original phrase there, Fred. But, you know, it is certainly something that I think will set the table for what's to come for him. Obviously, tournament berth is very much the expectation. You know, right now, a lot of the preseason prognosticators don't look very highly of Indiana. It's certainly easy to understand why. I thought Dylan Burkhart was spot on point yesterday, though, too, when he pointed out the fact that we generally don't know jack squat in the beginning of October about what to expect. I mean, you can certainly look at a team like Michigan State and make a very strong argument as to why they're going to be, you know, cream of the crop in the conference this year. But when you look at the parity that exists in this conference, and you look at just how wrong a lot of teams or a lot of the preseason predictions have been in years past, you know, ultimately it comes down to how well these teams can establish chemistry, how well they can stay healthy, you know, how well they can fill holes in their roster with not just with new players, but with some of the guys that are maturing up as far as the depth chart goes and filling in new roles for their teams that they previously haven't in the rotation. I think Indiana is one of those superlative examples where, you know, it's not necessarily, you know, going to be completely on the backs of the freshmen. Obviously, I think they're going to rely pretty heavily on Trace Jackson-Davis this year. Armand Franklin's probably going to find himself some decent rotation minutes as the season wears on. At the end of the day, though, you know, you're looking at guys like you know, Devontae Green. How well can he assume that primary scoring role? You're looking at guys like Al Durham. You know, how well can he become more of a well-rounded two-way player for the Hoosiers? You know, a little more offensive efficiency and effectiveness. How well can Deron Davis stay healthy and contribute on both ends of the floor, not just as a lane blocker and a distributor on offense? It'd be really, really interesting to see how these guys elevate as they assume new roles within the rotation and exactly what that means for everybody else on the floor. Because, you know, this is going to be a team that's going to require some synergy. I think Indiana individually is probably not a top third league team. But, you know, if Archie's able to find some way to make the sum of the parts greater, then perhaps this team could find themselves up in that echelon. There's certainly a decent amount of talent. You know, there's certainly a whole lot more questions that remain and will linger into this season. I don't know that we're going to get a whole lot of answers in this area, to be perfectly honest with you. But at the very least, it's going to feel a whole lot better when you can actually lay eyes on them. Speculation can be backed up by some objective evidence. And then, you know, we can talk till the cows come home until the ball actually gets tipped this season, and we get some results on the board.
Absolutely. We'll certainly get a better look at them on Saturday at Hoosier Hysteria. I think that starts at 4:30 out at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. The women's program also on tap for that as well. Everybody's going to be out there. Chronic, can't thank you enough, man, as always.
One thing I'd love to add before we cut off here, for everybody heading to Hoosier Hysteria, remember to bring some canned goods with you. The Hoosier Hills Food Bank uses this every year as one of their primary food drive sources. I don't know that you can really measure how much of an impact Indiana fans have on this organization's ability to feed families in need. It's free admission for everybody who wants to attend, free parking. They encourage tailgating if you all feel like it. But if you got a couple of seconds, fill up a bag with some cans or some dry non-perishable goods. Bring them with you to Hysteria. They got big tubs set up at all of the entrances, and you know, let's do our part to help take care of Monroe County and the surrounding areas and keep these Hoosiers from being ugly this year.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't bring one canned good. Bring a sack full. Just take one of those Kroger bags and double bag it and throw several of them in there.
Load them up. I know Hoosier Hills Food Bank would greatly appreciate it, guys.
Chronic Hoosier, can't thank you enough, brother. Appreciate you, and hopefully we'll see you out there this weekend.
We'll catch you. Happy Hysteria.
Absolutely. There's Chronic Hoosier joining us here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat. Back with more right after this.
Hello, everyone.
everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Tuesday, October 1. Joined now by Nick Baumgart from Indiana Rivals, thehoosier.com. Nicholas, how are you?
Very nice, sir, brother. What's going on with you guys?
We're here. Off to Big Ten Media Days later today. That's all going on tomorrow. But what are you expecting up there? There's not really that comes out of these things. It's we met with the IU media or the coaches and players last week. This is more for getting to talk to the other conference members, but. That comes up tomorrow, and all 14 teams will be on display.
Yeah, I've never done anything like this before, so it's going to kind of an eye-opening experience. I don't really know if I should come out swinging or not, but I've got my questions here. I got some. Yeah, I mean, look, do I ask Jim Delaney? Do I say he opened it right at 8:00 in the morning with the press conference? Do I ask him, do I say, why do we still have to charge for the BTN Plus? Right? I don't know if you've looked at the schedule coming up, but there's like 2 games on BTN Plus again this year, and you got to pay $10 for it. So do I come out swinging, I don't know.
Come on, man. Have a haymaker. You give me something. Drop a bombshell. How about a hot take? Hot take.
So I don't know. I'm employed today. Today's my first day on the job, actually. So I don't know. We'll see if I make it to day 3 or not.
What are your expectations? This is your first Big Ten Media Day coming up. What are your expectations?
Oh man, cake and ice cream. We're gonna get it all.
They have none.
I don't know. I'm looking at the schedule, and so it's the setup. I'm sure you've seen it, but it's 10-minute press conferences to start, and then there's like a roundtable thing. That could be kind of interesting if you get to ask, some direct questions to some people.
I can tell you this is the best opportunity you will have with all of the other coaches. They are up on these daises, and when the breakout sessions is the actual best part. That's when you can get up a little closer. You can ask more questions. It's better than say a post game, because they're going to give you just a little bit and they're going to cut you off. These coaches are sometimes they're a little more free. I think of Jim Harbaugh. I mean, he gets up there and gets going, and the questions just keep coming. And it was like, I'm trying to think. I can't think of any really good backstories in the Big Ten as far as basketball goes. They're just, you don't have that Ohio State, Michigan thing like they do in football, which that made the Big Ten football media days very interesting and very fun, having those coaches all go up there. You don't really have that in the Big Ten anymore. You used to have it with Bob Knight and Gene Cady, Bruce Weber whining all the time. But you don't have like Desmond Howard coaching at Michigan, So it's going to be cool to kind of, see Juwan Howard in action, and get a little Izzo action. I'm sure he'll have some good sound bites. He's one. He's a good one. He's obviously a very, very good one. He's one of the few guys that's open and honest. He doesn't give you coach speak. Everybody else gives you all this coach speak crap. That's what I miss about Coach Knight so much. It was you'd watch his shows with Chuck Laszlo, I believe. I'm Chuck Marlowe. Kind of Marlowe, not Laszlo. I'm sorry, I'm too young for it to. But anyway, he was so honest, and he would just come out and just tell it how it was. And I think we got so used to that for a while. And, guys now are a little more guarded. You can't tell the truth anymore. People whine. Yeah. People, oh, my God, he hurt my feelings. You can't tell the truth anymore. I mean, we're in that cancel culture or whatever they call it now. So everybody's kind of, basketball coaches are weird like that anyway. They always kind of play things, all coaches, they play things, close to their vest. And anywho, but looking forward to that, and maybe get to talk to Cassius Winston, something like that. Indiana's taken Devontae Green and Deron Davis. They're two seniors up with them, along with Archie Miller, to speak to the media. Then you've got who from the other schools are you looking forward to talking to? Well, Cassius Winston would be pretty cool. I don't know, just seeing those guys in that environment, and seeing who enjoys it and who likes it, and there's a lot of guys that don't. I'd say Cassius Winston's probably, the one that I've got a fondness in my heart for point guards, and he's pretty good. So, that'd be fun. Obviously, it'd be fun to talk to the IU guys, and. What as far as how do you see the Big Ten playing out this year? There doesn't seem to be anybody really close to Michigan State. Well, no, and I mean, a lot of people want to put Maryland in their top 10, and if Maryland's in the top 10 in the country, I feel pretty good as if you're an IU fan, you feel pretty good about that. Why? Why is that? Why is that? Because you think they have the talent? Well, yeah, just because they're saying Maryland. Everybody likes Maryland because, Anthony Cowan and Jalen Smith are as good of a 1-2 punch as it comes. And, I think Indiana has a pretty good point guard in Rob Finney, who's going to be healthy. And we saw what he did against Marcus Howard. When he's healthy, he can play with anybody. He's going to be a year older. So I don't think Anthony Cowan necessarily scares
Rob Finney or even, me looking at the situation. And then when you look inside, I really do. I've been saying this for a while now. I think Indiana's going to end up with the best front core in the Big Ten. Name me 5 guys better up front than Deron Davis, Joey Bronk, Justin Smith, Trace Jackson Davis, and Race Thompson. I mean, that's a lot of talent and deep inside.
Race Thompson hasn't done anything yet. Justin Smith has yet to really do anything to me either. I don't. And Joey Bronk's an unproven commodity.
It's October though. That's all I can give you right now, Jimmy.
Deron Davis has never been healthy, so I don't know how. I can't say that about Indiana. Nothing has been shown to me yet. None of that has been proven out. We haven't seen those guys do anything or stay healthy long enough. Potentially,
well, yeah, but I mean, if you look at the game last year, we were up 14 inside 4 minutes to go. We're up 10 points in the second half. Ended up losing by 3. It was a complete meltdown. Why do you think
everybody has Indiana picked so low? Everybody's got Indiana picked 10th or worse. That's horrific. That's just horrific. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if it's. I think a lot of it has to do with Archie proving that he can win in Bloomington. I think that's got something to do with it. I think people look at the situation last year.
1,000% there. I agree. I think it is more Archie or a lack of people thinking that Archie can get it done than it is the players.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it kind of goes hand in hand, but I think they see. I think the national pundits they look at the situation and they see that Indiana lost its 2 best players last year, 2 best offensive players, and
on a team that wasn't very good offensively.
But there's still a lot of talent here. And it's they've got 9 guys. I'm not a big rankings guy.
Nick, what I'm saying is when you point out that they lost their 2 best offensive players, I'm just pointing out that was on a team that was not very good offensively.
Yeah, but that doesn't. Those 2 points aren't. They're independent of each other. They were bad in a lot of ways because of those 2. Of the ball died. A lot of times. The ball movement that you've heard Archie talk about this fall got killed. They didn't shoot well from 3. I mean, you're looking at 200-something threes between the 2 of them at 20-something, 29%. So it's not like they were great. It's not like the offense was bad in spite of them. And they were their 2 best players, but it wasn't like they were world beaters either.
And they haven't added to that, so the only hope to be better is that they've just gotten better individually through practice.
Well, that, and then the fact that a team, I think teams, if you go back and look at Tennessee last year, they didn't have anybody with any kind of pedigree or ranking history or anything like that, and they were a good team. So, you can be a good team and not have stars.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of that happens a lot. It happens more often than not, to be honest with you. But no, I was just talking about the shooting overall. They haven't added shooting, so the only way they can be better is to have gotten better via practice individually.
Yeah, but the shooting I think is overblown because when you look at it, Finney was shooting 45% before he got hurt. He's a 35% shooter. In high school,
45% off what? But he was 3 of 5. He's not shooting the ball much, so you can't really use that number. They were terrible shooting the ball, and to me, it does matter. Every time you miss a shot, that's a turnover, and they missed shots.
I think it was 25 attempts or something like that. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's October 1st. That's all I got. All I got to go on. I think the shooting's overblown. I think it'll be fine. I really do.
Why is it overblown?
Well, just because, like I said, and Al Durham was shooting almost 41% up until February 19th, and then he fell off 26% the rest of the way. So is he a 40% shooter or is he closer to a 26% shooter?
And they lost 12 straight games, so you can't say it's overblown. When things don't go well and don't work, they lose. So it's not overblown to me. It's a perfect thing to talk about. when things go away, they lose. And when you lose, you lose. So I think that the fact that they went through a 12-game losing streak, those things have to be talked about. The inability to shoot the ball, the lack of chemistry that they had last year. I know that they talked about having better chemistry. Well, you can't have any worse chemistry than they did on that team last season.
No, I mean, I think you're right about that. I mean, I've heard, just in the last couple of weeks, we've heard about how Devontae Green's in a lot better place now. And, I think that Romeo kind of, just kind of stepped on some, not that he did it intentionally or anything like that, but just by being there, and being the talent that he is, that, he kind of, pushed some people out maybe. And so, the thinking is that Green's going to be a lot better this year too. So, I like I said, it's October 1st and we don't have a whole lot to go on.
Absolutely, man. But we've got Hoosiers Dairy on Saturday. So the first live look for the Hoosier Nation at the team this Saturday at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. The women will be out there as well. So and some visits. They don't know who they're going to have in. Of course, Trey Galloway and Anthony Leah will be there. Christian Lander from Evansville Wrights will be there. They're trying to get Dawson Garcia. I have not heard anything on that because I know he's a big target. But we'll certainly see. And we'll see. I think we lost him already, Nick. Nick Baumgart.
No, you're cutting out on me. Are we get?
There you go. Yeah. I appreciate you, brother.
Right,
we'll
Jimmy.
see you up in Chicago.
I'll see you in Chicago, buddy.
That was good. There's Nick Baumgart from Indiana Rivals, Hoosier.com, new basketball analyst for those guys. Look forward to that and having Nick on all season long. He's always been great here on the show. Hey, that's going to wrap up this hour. For those of you that stand with us, we look forward to keeping with you along with. For everybody else, until tomorrow, it's Jim Coyle for Jake. And thanks to our guest, Chronic Hoosier and Nick Baumgart. I will see you on the radio. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Tuesday, October 1. Thanks a lot for joining us. It was a Chronic Tuesday. If you were with us in the first hour, Chronic Hoosier was with us. Nick Baumgart. More coming up. We're going to hear from Tom Allen. A lot to get to. Andre Curbelo, he's got 3 visits scheduled. He's the point guard that Archie Miller has chased. Indiana's in his final 5, which includes the Illini of Illinois, the Hoosiers, Miami, Oregon, and St. John's. Curbelo has scheduled 3 visits to Miami, to Illinois, and Oregon. We'll see if Indiana gets a visit. Indiana is trying desperately to get Dawson Garcia into Hoosier hysteria, but more importantly, trying to get a commitment out of him. That is a top target for Archie Miller that he desperately needs to land. I know most fans think that the recruiting is just going peachy keen, but I'm not one of those people that agrees with that, because I think that they've just got it filled in with some patchwork spots. People like Dawson Garcia is a must need, because 2 years down the road, you're looking at having potentially one person that's currently on the roster, and IU's front line, Race Thompson. Deron Davis will be gone. Joey Brunk will be gone. Justin Smith will be gone. Trace Jackson Davis very well might be gone. Therefore, you would be leaning on freshmen if you don't land a guy in this class. But Dawson Garcia is a big 6'11 kid out of Minnesota. We'll see if he's at we'll find out, I'm sure, by the end of the week. But tomorrow we will be live up in Chicago from the Big Ten Basketball Media Day as that takes place. All 14 teams talking. Archie Miller, Devontae Green, Deron Davis traveling up for Indiana. We'll talk to as many players and coaches as we can. We'll have all that for you for the rest of the week. Of course, then Hoosier Hysteria on Saturday. Indiana football in a bye this week, which works out nicely. They come back the following week. Home game against Rutgers. Indiana men's soccer, they are on the road tonight. They're in Chicago tonight, so maybe we'll pass them on the road. Oh, no, man, if I could have what am I thinking? If we could have got there in time, I don't think I can. We went to the soccer game. What am I thinking? Wow, just dawned on me. Mike Penix was freshman of the week. Great performance against Michigan State. At one point, he had 20 consecutive completions. The only thing that stopped that was not a missed pass. It was a pass that Ty Freifogel couldn't get his feet in bounds in the end zone for a touchdown. That stopped the streak, but on the very next play, he hits Donovan Hale on the complete opposite side of the end zone for a touchdown. I think he would have shattered that record. That would have been just incredible to see. A freshman. This record is from 1984. Chuck Long had 22 straight for Iowa against Indiana. That would have been unbelievable. But that's what you can look forward to in Michael Penix. He's a freshman. You think he's not going to get better? Wait till next year and the year after that. Holy smokes. I told you at the beginning of the season, I thought this offense would be prolific. If you score 31 points against a Michigan State defense That's pretty daggone good. They should eat Rutgers alive. I mean, they should put 55 points on Rutgers. They got a break to get healthy. I came up with my own power rankings for the Big Ten. Number 1, the Buckeyes. They're in the top 4 in the country now in the AP poll. They should have been all along. They should not have gotten moved down because LSU had a nice win over Texas A&M. That was crap. But they're number 4 right now. They're number 1 of the Big Ten in my mind. Number 2 is Wisconsin from the Big Ten West. So there's your expected Big Ten championship game right there. But a couple of teams are going to have something to say about that. One of those is Penn State. I got them at number 3. They're looking pretty decent. They're coming off a weekend which they destroyed Maryland, who was looking to be a fraud. Iowa at number 4. So it's kind of equal at the top. 1-2, 1-2. Big Ten East still the stronger. Number 5, I've got Michigan, just in front of Michigan State. But see, from the 5 down, it may be 4 down. I don't even know. I don't know how good Iowa is, but from 5 down for sure, it's a mix. I got Michigan at number 5, Michigan State at number 6, number 7, I got Indiana. Indiana could have easily beaten Michigan State. I think they're going to beat Michigan. Now, not anyone else is going to have Indiana up that high at number 7. I've got them in front of Minnesota. Minnesota hasn't done anything to impress me. Indiana has. I've got Minnesota 8th, not Nebraska at 9. I think Indiana can go to Nebraska and win that game in Lincoln. If they can shore up their defense, man. Got to get these holes plugged. Got to get this stuff together. Kane Womack's got to pull that defense together. That's been very disappointing for Indiana this season. As a matter of fact, it cost them the Michigan State game. Offensively, they played more than well enough to win that game. They just had some major blunders defensively that cost them the game. I've got Northwestern at 10. Maryland, the fraud, at 11. Early on, they had looked strong. They were beating the crap out of teams. They beat Syracuse bad. But then they've been getting beat bad ever since. Purdue's in big trouble. I've got them at 12. They lost Sindelar possibly for the season. They've lost Rondale Moore for an extended period of time. Then you've got Illinois and, of course, Rutgers last, who just fired their coach, Chris Ash. In the middle of the season, only 4 games in? What are we, 5 games in? And they're firing their coach. That's something. Text into the show from Tim. Dawson Garcia took an official visit to Minnesota this past weekend. There is silence in the media world on when his next visit will be. Hopefully it will be Hoosier hysteria. Well, Indiana may be keeping it under wraps if anything has been settled. I would sure think that by now you'd know. This is Tuesday, man. We're 4 days away. This may be something they want to announce just before to create a buzz, or it may not happen. And if it doesn't happen, I'm a little surprised they couldn't get Andre Curbelo in for a visit to Hoosier Hysteria. He's going on visits. Not sure what all went in there, but if I'm telling you, if they don't land him, they're in trouble. Doesn't mean that they can't fix it, but it's a situation. And if you think it's not, you're not being realistic with yourself. They've got to get some guys in here. Well, Devontae Green and Deron Davis will be traveling to Chicago for Big Ten Media Days. Green and Al Durham have been voted captains for the Indiana basketball team. So congratulations to those guys. Some audio that we didn't hear was from Donovan Hale. There we go. Thought I lost it. Let's hear what Donovan Hale had to say after the game.
Can you talk a little bit first about what you thought about how Michael played today and how the offense in general worked so well against a very good Michigan State defense?
I mean, Mike, he was dealing with some issues, but I think he played pretty good. And, I think we had some explosive plays, and we need to continue to do that throughout the remainder of the season.
And that one ball he got to you deep there, did you think that was going to be 6?
Yeah, I'm expected to make them plays, so whenever the ball in it, I just try to make a play.
Yeah.
Donovan, you're one of the few guys on the team that have been here for a lot of these games where you guys can compete against some of the top teams and close and kind of not pull it out at the end. How frustrating does that get, even when there is like this the new wave and younger guys? How do you feel any pressure to kind of keep your composure about it when you do have kind of younger guys around?
No, it's no pressure. We obviously disappointed, but we're not discouraged. It's just all about finishing. And Coach Allen, he's always been emphasizing finishing. I think we're getting close, and we just got to close out.
You've been a part of a couple of teams that came really close, not just to win some of these games, but obviously getting to 6 wins the last couple of years. What for this team specifically, in your mind, is key to building on a performance like that, and maybe at the end of the season winding up making enough of those plays to get back to where you want to be in the postseason?
Like I said before, it's finishing, and then it's a couple plays here and there, that we have to make or stop on the defensive end. But I think we can get over the hump.
Obviously, you said Michael has been dealing with some things, but he had a couple throws too. One, I think he was all the way on the left side of the field, you were all the way on the right. And I think another time, kind of just got the bullet at 1-2 on a 3rd and 10. Just his arm strength is kind of shine through, plays like that.
Yeah, that's just what he does. Injured or not, he's able to make those plays.
Yep. That was Donovan Hale after Saturday's loss up at East Lansing. Don Fisher was on the show yesterday, and one of the things that he went on a little tirade about was talking about finishing, but it's not just, I saw it as an issue with Indiana's defense. And, he just sees it as a thing with Indiana overall. And he's seen a lot more games than we have. He asked Tom Allen that question yesterday in the press conference about that very thing. And here's what Tom Allen had to say.
Sure. I think, matter of fact, even during the game when we took the lead early in the fourth quarter, got on the headset, guys seemed excited, but you want energy. There's no question about it. I said to our guys specifically, I said, fellas, we have a young football team. Teach them how to handle where we are. We have to finish. And so obviously we're at that moment addressing it head on. I saw the same thing you saw, being able to handle some level of success, even though you hadn't finished yet, and we did not finish. And so great teaching time for your guys. To me, and I know I haven't been here all those years in the past, and I know you've seen a lot of football here, a lot more than I have. But I see it as two things. Number one is youth, this group, right? And number two, I feel like you have to learn how. You have to learn how to finish, learn how to win those kind of games. And to me, now that we're at full bore in conference play, they're going to all be, since I've been here, there have been a lot of to the bitter end battles, and there's not a lot of margin for error. And that was what we talked about today in our team meeting was, so how do you finish the close games? And to me, it's so wrapped up in trusting in the discipline of the preparation to be able to execute in those moments. Because once again,
there you go. There's Tom Allen talking about finishing. They've something they've got to get done, man. We've seen it all too many times, but this seemed a little different. You saw an offense that just kept coming, but that's kind of how it was in the Kevin Wilson era. They would score, but they couldn't stop anybody. It's not quite that bad, but it's almost that bad. It's like when they played Michigan the first time in overtime here a couple years ago, 4 years ago. 44-40 the score was. They're going back and forth. Indiana was scoring at will, but so was Michigan. You got to have two sides of the ball going, man. And Indiana's not quite that bad, but they were bad. When you give up 74 yards on 2 plays at the end of a game at will, when you have the end of a half and you don't manage the clock right to begin with, you start with screw-ups from the start by fielding a punt. Should never have happened. But then they just didn't manage that clock very well. And defensively, come on, man. Just hold them to a field goal at worst. You got to be able to get those stops. And it doesn't matter how good Michael Penix and company is if they can't stop anybody. Hopefully they can get those things worked out. And I think that they will. I really do. I mean, I think that they're going to get better offensively is the thing. I think they've only scratched the surface. Michael Penix has only started 3 games. Let him get some time under his belt. He's just going to get better. And I don't know how you say that as good as he was, because he was pretty daggone good. Now, it's not him alone, of course. He's got a lot of great receivers in Frappo and Wap and Donovan Hale, Nick Westbrook. Guys out of the backfield. Great game plan by Kalen DeBoer. A lot of people thought that was a Peyton Ramsey-esque. Well, there's not. It's a difference. The difference is the passes he's throwing across the middle, they're lasers. Those 28-yard passes he's throwing, they're getting there a lot faster. The defense can't collapse on the receivers. There's a difference, I assure you. Yards after catch have improved. I mean, it's just everything is so much better because the ball gets there faster. This offense is going to be good. Hell, they're already good. We got a lot more coming up on the program. Don Fisher was with us. You get to hear him on a reboot. He's I talked about, he kind of goes off on a rant a little bit. Don doesn't do that very often, but he's passionate. He's seen a lot of these games, and like a lot of fans, he wants to see something different. But stay tuned. We got a lot more coming up here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat. Back with the Fish right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. 944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Cole.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Monday, last day of September. Ready to get your week started with the great Don Fisher, the voice of the Hoosiers. Don, how are you, sir?
Doing well. How about yourself, Jim?
I can't complain. A great weekend, almost a great football game by Indiana. It was a great football game, to be honest with you. I remember I saw Don early before the game. I said, "Are you ready to call an upset?" And just kind of threw it out there. I thought I was going to have to chase you down because that daggone near happened.
Well, it was an interesting ball game, no question about that. And it was a game that Indiana certainly had a chance to win. It was very competitive. It was back and forth, and you like to see that. And there's no doubt that this Indiana football team played pretty well considering some of the circumstances they were dealing with. You have a redshirt freshman quarterback who's coming back after 2 weeks out with an injury, hasn't really thrown the ball that much, and certainly it wasn't real spectacular in practice this week with his throwing and his accuracy. And then he comes into this ball game and just plays spectacularly well, which is I guess you could call him a gamer, to say the least, because he did play extremely good football and threw the ball incredibly well in this contest. It completes 33 of 42 passes, no interceptions, 3 touchdowns, 286 yards in the passing game. But as much as Michael Penix deserves credit for this performance in this contest, I give just as much credit, if not more, to the game plan that was set up by Kalen DeBoer, the offensive coordinator. I thought his game plan was absolutely spectacular considering what Indiana was dealing with against that Michigan State defense and how Indiana would have to play it to be successful in it. They ran the ball just enough, and with enough success in this contest. I give Stevie Scott some credit for running really hard in this ball game. He gained just 66 net yards, but he ran 18 times, and when he did run, he was running with some power and running through tackles and things like that. So you give that portion of the run game some credit there. And, of course, you're working with an offensive line that has a true freshman in Matthew Bedford, who'd never started a game before, had played very sparingly up to this point in the season at left tackle in place of Coy Cronk, who's out for the year. And I thought Matthew Bedford played decently. I don't think he was great, but he would learn. He's thrown into the fire. He's 6'6" and 310 pounds, and he's a guy that really hasn't learned the offensive system completely yet. And the offensive line is probably technically one of the most difficult positions on the field to learn. And so very few true freshmen step in there and do that and are mature enough to do it. And I thought Bedford got better as the game went on and accounted for himself pretty well in this contest. So from that standpoint, there were all positives from my perspective, but from the defensive side, not so much. And I say that because we still have not seen this defense play to the expectations we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. That's been the difference between Indiana possibly winning that game this weekend.
Well, I don't think there's any question that it was. And I think the big problem has been where we thought they were going to be the strongest. Certainly from the depth standpoint, we thought they were going to be the strongest, and that would be in the defensive backfield. And we have seen several quarterbacks now take advantage of Indiana, especially in this situation late in the first half and late in the second half, where they were allowed to just drive down the field with their passing attack for the most part and take advantage of Indiana's defensive backfield. Now, the one guy that I will stand here and say all day long played the best of anybody on the ball club defensively was a kid named Tywan Mullen, who's a true freshman. And when he was on their best receiver, Darryl Stewart didn't do anything. This kid had 4 pass breakups in this ball game. And this is a true freshman now playing against one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver in the Big Ten, in Darryl Stewart. And this kid did a tremendous job on him when he was assigned to him. And unfortunately, he wasn't assigned to him the entire day because they moved Stewart around to the other side of the ball where somebody else had to be the defensive player on him. And when that happened, Stewart was successful, and Lewerke was successful going to him. When Tywan Mullen was on this guy, he had basically no success whatsoever. So that tells me that we've got a special player in Tywan Mullen, this freshman. And obviously we've known he's very talented. The coaching staff has raved about him in practice, but he showed himself big time in this football game.
Absolutely, Don. He sure did. I mean, when every time you saw a play that was happening in the defensive backfield, you look up and it's number 3. What an outstanding job for a true freshman to go on the road into a place like Michigan State. 70,000 people there. It was a great environment, but to perform like that, and not just Tywan, but we're talking about him right now because he was certainly the shining star on that defense without doubt.
Yep, and obviously that just brings up the point even further about why this defensive backfield hasn't performed up to expectations. And I can't answer that question, but obviously it's going to be asked, and there's going to have to be some things done here in this break here with the bye week coming up this Saturday, where Indiana gets a little extra practice time and a chance to maybe fix some of these problems that they're having in the defensive backfield, because I don't think there's any doubt right now that is the biggest problem. You allow a team to go down the field with the passing attack in the final 30 seconds or in the final minute of the first half and basically score in 33 seconds to take the lead after Indiana tied the ball game at 14. And now they're back on top, and they have a little momentum going to the locker room, which you had on your side prior to that touchdown being scored. And then in the second half and late in the ball game, the same thing happens again. They're allowed to go down the field, or they take it down the field fairly quickly and score a touchdown after you've taken the lead from them, 28-24, and they come right back and score quickly and just take all that momentum that you've just picked up and all that energy, and it just kind of deflates you a little bit. And, of course, then they come back down and drive it again very quickly at the end of the ball game and get it down there in position for a field goal to win it. So, honestly, that's disappointing for this defense. This defense has simply not performed to the level that we thought that they could at the outset of the season, and I think it's all at this juncture, 5 games in, it's been the most disappointing aspect of this football team.
Absolutely, and there's definitely going to be questions asked and need to be answered, like you said. On the other side of the ball, offensively, there are a lot of questions about this offensive line with the patchwork you talk about, Matt Bedford earlier, with Indiana losing Coy Crunk. And my gosh, they gave up 1 sack this weekend, and they did, as far as running-wise, Graham Couch, a reporter from the Lansing Free Journal, he was in the postgame with us and asked Stevie Scott, he said, I saw you all do what I haven't seen done to Michigan State in a calendar year. How did you do it? So to have that's basically a compliment to a line that was patched together in a running game that had been non-existent before this, but they did a pretty daggone good job.
Well, you're right. I mean, they did. And again, I give most of the credit for that to Kalen DeBoer, the offensive coordinator, because I just think what he designed for this team, and most of Penix's passes were quick, get it out of your hand quickly into a receiver, trying to find a receiver that was open. And I thought the receivers did a nice job in this game. Obviously, Whop Philyor had a terrific performance. Donovan Hale was just as spectacular in the contest. Those 2 guys were really, really important in this ball game. And there's no doubt. I think Kalen DeBoer has just been spectacular with what he has done, considering what Indiana's challenges are on the offensive side of the football. And I give him a lot of the credit for the success that this ball club had. The good news is that they look like they're a really good pass-blocking type offensive line. The run blocking is still very much up in the air, but it was a better performance in that area against a stout defensive group. And so that pleases me as well, and I think it's something to look forward to.
Yeah, the second half, when Indiana came out, they started the second half with the ball. The time of possession for the third quarter was 13 minutes to 155. Indiana had it for 13 minutes of that quarter. That's an absolute domination, but it's also a team that is making very few mistakes because you can't make very many mistakes and sustain drives like that.
No, and against the defense that Michigan State has. I do think the defense for Michigan State is terrific, especially against the run game. But against the passing attack that Indiana employed in this ball game, I think that they were exposed a little bit, and that may prove deferential to them as the season goes on, because I thought Indiana was able to take advantage of some things in that regard. That said, I loved what I saw from this football team for the most part throughout the ball game. The one thing I did not like, and I'm going to say this, and I know it upsets people because you're disparaging the ball club. No, I'm not. I'm pointing something out here that I think has got to be fixed, and it's happened over the years many, many times with this football team and this program. You've got to be mature in a ball game and know where you're at and what you're doing and concentrating and focusing on the right things. And to me, one of the problems showed itself on Saturday that's been a big issue with this football team, not just this year, last year, or under Kevin Wilson or under any other coach. It's been a problem for a long time. Guys do not understand the game's not over with just because you took the lead or just because you just scored a touchdown and now you've got yourself in a position where you could pick up a win. That's not the end in sight. You have got to stay focused, and we saw this ball club take the lead at 28-24 late in the ball game. And what happened? We had like 10 or 11 or 12 guys out there dancing around, acting the clown or acting like, we got this game now where we're going to win this contest, blah, blah, blah. And then they come back out, and they've lost that momentum or that energy or that focus. I think it's more focus and concentration than anything else. You can't celebrate until the game ends and you've won it. Don't do that. Yes, you can pat each other on the back after you score a touchdown, get off the field, and be smart about it and get ready for the next play because the game has not ended. And that's a really good football team you're facing, and they can take advantage of you if you're not doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And I think Indiana gets ahead of itself, and I thought Saturday was a perfect example.
Exactly. Just couldn't stand prosperity, but the focus has been a little bit problematic for that defense.
It's not just the defense. I mean, it's just not. That's the whole thing right there. It's just not the defense. It's the team, and that's a whole team issue. And they've got to get a handle on that. I think that's all coaches need to understand. I think coaches do understand that. It's just a matter of how you go about instituting it into the thinking process of the players. And again, I know that it sounds like a real negative criticism, and it is. But at the same time, it's one that's trying to help rather than hurt.
Constructive.
And I think this team has that issue. Exactly.
Constructive. Yeah, and it is a young team. There is some immaturity. And actually, we talked about that earlier in the season with Coach Allen. There is some immaturity. Some of the penalties we saw early on because of the immaturity. And you're right. All that goes together. And until you have that package, you're not going to win those kinds of games that you're in.
Not against the good teams. There's no question. It's a big issue, in my opinion. And it's an ongoing problem, and I think the only thing that can change that is the coaching staff just making an emphasis. Get the heck off the football field and understand that you can celebrate for about 3 seconds, and then it's over with, and you've got to concentrate on the next play and the next situation because you're playing really good football teams in this league, and it's never going to change, and you've got to be focused, and you've got to be mentally into this ball game in the right frame of mind, or you're not going to win it. And Indiana's seen that happen many, many times over the years.
Absolutely. You have a break from football this week as Indiana has a bye, but Hoosier Hysteria is going to happen on Saturday out at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. A lot of basketball going on, a lot of activities happening.
Yep, media day for the basketball team is Wednesday. Of course, the first official day of practice is today. So there's lots of going on with the basketball program this week. So we'll take a little break from football and take a look at what basketball's doing next week on Monday when we talk to you. And obviously, it's going to be interesting to say the least. This is a program that right now had all kinds of problems last year. They bring in three new faces this season. They've lost a key player or two from last year's ball club. They've got some work to do, but they've also got, I think, the chance to turn things around maybe in a dramatic fashion this year if they play up to expectations.
We certainly hope so, Don. I certainly love having you on each and every week. Thank you so much. Look forward to doing it again on Monday.
All right, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Have a great week. The great Don Fisher with us, the voice of the Hoosiers. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Pick it up. Take me back home, man.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
And welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Tuesday. It's October 1st, man. We are in the fall. Fall ball. Hoosier Hysteria coming up this Saturday out at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. I think that starts at 4:30. Bring some canned goods. Throw them in a big old Kroger bag and just bring them out, man. They could sure use it. The women will be in action first out at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Then you'll get your first live look at the 2019-2020 men's basketball team. We'll be coming to you live tomorrow from Chicago for Big Ten Basketball Media Day up there. We'll be bringing all that to you. I'm not even sure who all we're going to have on. It's going to be a surprise what all we can get to put together once we get up there. But we'll be heading there as soon as we're done here today, heading in that direction. The men's soccer team is in action tonight up in Chicago at Northwestern, as a matter of fact, so we got that going for us. And then coming up next here, Tom Allen, yesterday, his press conference. We have that in its entirety for you here. So that's going to wrap that up. So thanks a lot for joining us there. We had Chronic Hoosier on, and Nick Baumgart. Here's Tom Allen in his press conference yesterday.
Good afternoon. Just after having a chance to watch the film and evaluate the game from Saturday, continue to be disappointed in the outcome, but encouraged by the progress overall. You go through and evaluate how your team performs in that setting. We knew going in it'd be a tough environment to play in, and with still a lot of young guys in that situation, especially in lieu of losing Coy and then having to play Matt Bedford. Ended up starting Matt, and he played every snap, which we really weren't going into it 100% sure that he would be able to handle that type of workload in that environment for the first time ever. But he did a great job. Made mistakes for sure, but did a great job. I'm really proud of him and how he responded. Same with Mike Penix, first really true road game for him, and in conference play, absolutely the first one, and just really encouraged by the way he handled the moment. And it wasn't too big for him, and he's very poised and very effective in what he was able to do. And for that, he was, as you know, named Big Ten Freshman of the Week for the second time in 3 of his games. But as a collective effort, that was the offensive coaching staff's game plan. That was the execution of it, the receivers, the way they performed, and as well as the way they blocked for each other, the effort up front. I mentioned Stevie Scott. We had a great team meeting this morning. I just got after our guys. Was very hard on them in some areas, in accountability. Like as I told our team today, the film creates accountability because everything that happens on game day shows up on film. The film never lies, and it creates accountability for coaches. It creates accountability for me, foremost and utmost, and for the players, and how they perform. And so sometimes those are hard meetings to have, and you get after them hard, but you also realize you see what we're building, you see the progress, you see what we're becoming, and the work that's in front of us and the opportunity in front of us. And so, but that collective group offensively just did a great job of helping Michael Penix have the game that he had. I mentioned Stevie Scott. His effort on pass pro was phenomenal. That's a collective buy-in that you see. That's a guy understanding LEO and understanding that it's not about him, and he's not caring who gets the credit. I mean, guys that just care about their stats, and that's a guy that just cares who gets the credit, and he's not that way, and ran hard, did some great things. Ronnie Walker is the epitome of that, and just doing his job 100%. And I could go on and on. Even Westbrook, the way he blocked, made some good catches. D. Hale, some big catches, but the way he blocked. Peyton Hendershot didn't have a bunch of catches, but, man, he blocked his tail off, and was physical. And so, obviously WAP, played to a certain level, but, he was crushed at the end of the game. He had a great game and had stats and all that stuff, but he was so emotional afterwards because he wants to win. His team wants to win. So, and that's where, you go to the other side of the football and did some good things, but we're not good enough. At critical times, situational football did not come up with the plays we need to come up with, and have to communicate better, have to do a better job defensively. Without question, into the half end of the game is not acceptable with how we want to finish and how we will finish those situations. And special teams mistakes, the penalties that cost us. And I said it a week ago that they would cost us in conference play, could cost us a game in conference play, and those were definitely very, very game-changing place that you put yourself in. And so as we elevate our level of play and move into conference opponents, the margin for error becomes smaller and smaller in those areas. And so to me, that's a huge part of us growing as a team and using these next 3 practices here of this bye week of focusing on those details and improving ourselves and becoming a better football team. But I also feel like that there's enough there, and there's a look in this team's eye that I know where we're going, and I believe in these guys. And so I just really excited to get back to work with them tomorrow. Had a great day-to-day meetings, did not practice. I had a great lift. The guys continue to work extremely hard in the weight room. I have 3 goals for the bye week. Number 1, to create a mental and physical break for our guys from the grind of the season. You go through fall camp, which is a full month of that, then you go right into the first 5 games, and just the mental break that you need. So not going to have near as much meeting time, not going to be a lot of skiing, and we are going to work. And when we work, we'll be full bore. Practice will be a little shorter, but just a physical break as well. We got to get some guys rested, and the goal number 2 is to get all the injured guys healthy. And so to really maximize our rehab this week and be able to go into Rutgers healthy as much as possible. And that's goal 2. And goal number 3 is to improve fundamentally and technically as a football team in all 3 phases. So that's our goals for these next several days. And we'll be practicing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then coach will be out recruiting on Thursday afternoon and all day Friday, and then I'll be going out myself. So big recruiting weekend for us, and great opportunity for us to take these first 5 games and be able to move forward and look to a very important 4-game stretch before our next bye week. So I'm excited about what's ahead of us and what our guys are, how hard they're working, how hard we played, and how much they're learning to come together. Questions?
I know some of this is just kind of natural to the quarterback position, but how encouraged were you, maybe not just by Michael's performance, but by the way it felt like the offense kind of followed him, was sparked by him, that for a redshirt freshman making his first Big Ten start after a 3-week layoff, he still kind of had that impact on his teammates?
There's no question. And, we talked about, John Wooden he coined the phrase that, the competitive greatness that you have to play at a high level of any sport. And with that you're at your best when your best is demanded. And the second phase of that is that you make those around you better. And part of that, making them better, is a confidence that you exude to them in the poise that you have, the demeanor that you have, the playmaking ability that you have that creates, that confidence and expectation for that. And I just think some guys have that naturally, and you can't, it's hard to manufacture those kinds of things. And I just think it was. I mean, you go through and you think about the situation that Michael found himself in. As you mentioned, it's his first conference road game, first conference start, he's still young, hasn't played a lot of football, has not practiced a lot the last several weeks, full practice. And so didn't even have a full week of practice. I don't get into all those details before that, but did not practice every single day fully, just trying to get his body ready. And so all those things combined, it's really, impressive for what he was able to do, in that setting. But like I said, there's a lot of variables that went into that, and still things that we have to continue to get better at and focus on. But for sure, an encouragement of what is to come, and what we can be as an offense and as a football team.
Coach, against Michigan State, the secondary seemed to be a little bit vulnerable at times. Mm-hmm. Is that something where you'd like to see an improvement in the pass rush, or is it more just kind of the youth in the secondary?
Well, I think there's, it's never one thing. I thought we got some good pressure. We didn't get any sacks. We had several pressures. You always want more pressure. Pressures, creates, what you want defensively for an offense. And definitely caused some errant throws because of the pressure. The young secondary has to continue to grow. I know that Taiwan played extremely well, but we challenged some other guys even between the end of the game and this moment right now. Met with some guys already about them elevating their play, at that position. Because we put those guys, we put them on an island at times, and that's part of what we do. And we know that, they know that, and that's what you embrace. And so felt like that lost some of those one-on-ones, and sometimes it was just one-on-one technique and winning those battles. And 25, their guys, the number one receiver in the Big Ten right now for a reason. A really good football player, a very clutch player, has been that way for them and continues to be. So, he came up with a big catch at the end, that we needed to, I thought our guy was in good position. Just got to find a way to get that ball out of there, but that's where you start. And that's why I said it's one play. We're at the point now where, we're in those, we had some communication breakdowns in the secondary that we got to, and sometimes it's you, sometimes it's reps, sometimes it's just, but time has taught me that you just stay the course, but we had some things where some guys got cut loose, and a lot of that's communication. It's being able to, they do some cluster groupings and different things, and that's everybody does. I mean, that's kind of part of the game right now. So just different ways of handling that and reacting to that. We just got to get better. There's no doubt. I mean, but it's frustrating, to not be able to get some of those at critical times. But at the same time, you have to, it's a team game. We dropped a pick six. They just, it's tough. And you drill and drill and drill. And, we got the fumble. That was a key fumble that we got. And we had the holding on that same play. That was a game-changing turn of events there. Huge, So I just think that, believe in those guys. I just know that that's the one position. I mean, you can screw up on the D-line and nobody ever knows usually. You make a mistake in the secondary and everybody, can figure that one out. So that's part of playing that position and coaching that position, and I think I might have said this, but my dad taught me this a long time ago when I first became a young head coach. He said, you better make sure you have the best defensive back coach you can find and the best offensive line coach you can find, because those are the two areas that are the hardest for kids to play, and they'll get you beat if you don't get them right. And I believe it. It's true. That was back in, years ago and talking about at the high school level, but it really doesn't change. It's not any different. And so we got great coaches in those spots, and we got really good players. So excited for them to continue to grow and develop.
Do you have an update on Juan Harris's status? I know he was on. And then just health-wise, how did you come out of this?
We came out of the game healthy, which is good. It's a physical game against those guys. It always is. They play that style, and got some bumps and bruises for sure. But nobody that from the game itself that I believe is going to cause any extended. Even if we were playing this week, everybody would be playing that played in the game. I expect Juan to be back. I do. I think he was, doing a lot of extra work today again. So he's a guy we need in there. It provides a lot for us, and so I expect him to be back. And I think Reese Taylor, we really missed him. I thought we really needed him in this game, and it's unfortunate, but he should be back for Rutgers. And so if it goes as planned, and so feel pretty good about the guys that didn't play, that they should have a chance to come back this week. And like I said, that's our second goal on the list there is to get our guys healthy. So I know that even Matt Bjornsson has been was able to do some things in the game, but was limited. And so we're trying to continue to get him healthy. And so that way we can go into this next stretch as healthy as possible.
Tom, it seems that this year in the kick return game, you guys are taking a couple more shots than compared to last year. How much of that is a product of what David Ellis can bring you guys? And also, when you're a team that maybe needs some of those X-factor type plays to change momentum, how do you go about generating that beyond just breaking a tackle or making another block?
You're right, and I think you're accurate in your assessment. We have definitely I like the guys back there. I think David Ellis is a special player, and I want to give him. And he can be a game changer, and those returns are big. And we had discussions even during the game about our approach going in was to, hey, we're going to bring these out because we felt like that he was worth the risk. You can fair catch it, get it at 25, and I'm tempted to do that a lot because it's 25 free yards with no threat of a penalty, and then the penalty's really that's kind of what gets you. That really pins you down. And I mean, that's how we opened the second half. Now we end up overcoming that and getting a field goal out of it, but that was tough. So I think that he's worth the risk. And so but one of the goals for this week is to continue to improve both our score team, which is punt returns, and our house call, which is kickoff returns, our blocking. And those are tough blocks. And the way the rules are now, they're all just one-on-one blocks. They've taken out the double teams. It's one-on-one, me versus you, in space, blocking you. That's why there's so many holding calls and blocks in the back at the NFL level, at our level, because there's so much movement. It's hard. It's hard to do that. So, but we're going to really our entire work this week on special teams is all going to be technique work and drills the whole week. And so that's one of our objectives. And so those are game-changing plays we have to create. We did a great job with the one with WAP, and then it got called back. As we know, it was a 60-some-yard exchange, a huge turn of events. And then, he caught the one too deep. This is his first year catching punts. Really didn't do much in high school either. But he's got to learn. Let that one hit, and it could bounce back. But I'll take our chances on that one. And he'll learn from that. He's a smart football player. But you get in there in that setting, the ball age just kind of lost where he was and made a mistake. So, but I just think we got some gifted returners on our team, and I want to give them a chance to go create game-changing plays.
There was a point in the game, I don't remember exactly when it was, but it looked like you kind of went after Coach Womack a little bit on the sidelines. Kind of what was going on there, and do you see kind of your role at all in the defense changing with trying to make some improvements off of it?
Oh, I mean, I'm always involved in defense. So, I mean, if you saw that interaction, you just know who I am. I'm a pretty fiery guy, so, and I love Kane, and we're really close. And so I'm going to rip his tail when his tail needs to be ripped, and but the bottom line is it's right before half. I mean, it was that whole thing there. I mean, we needed to get a stop, and hey, I'm okay with that, and like I said, I'm not going to ever sit here and apologize for being fiery and intense, and because there's no sense of apologizing. It's going to happen again, okay? So, but at the same time, that's my area, and that's where I do feel for Kane, because you don't really want to be the DC for the former DC, right? When he's the head coach now, and it's a tough job. I mean, just tell what it is. I mean, because every little thing, and I'm hard on him in meetings, and I'm hard on him during the game, but it's like brothers, man. But then you just hug each other, and because you're family, right? And so that's how I feel about Kane. But if something's not the way I want it to be done, or the outcome, but I'm never going to second guess. I'm telling you, I don't like second guessing calls, because I don't think that's fair. Okay, but when we don't execute, that's when I want to make sure, and we're making sure we put our guys in the best position. So that's, to me, it's just football. It's the passion of the moment, it's the fire of the moment, and I can even don't remember what I said. So, but the bottom line is I'm not going to change. I'm going to get probably a little more emotional than some people may think I should as a head coach, and I got to make sure I'm always level-headed and making good decisions. But I just got to trust the good Lord to give me the wisdom to know, when it's time. And I'm just going to just react in some ways and just be that way, and that's just how I am. And so, but no, and it could be somebody else too. But there's no doubt, he's got a tough job, and he knows it, and that's what he signed up for. So it'll be good. But we're very close.
I know you guys are on bye, but looking forward, Rutgers makes a change at head coach, releases their offensive coordinator. How does that complicate things as you prepare for Rutgers in a couple of weeks? Usually have a couple of weeks to prepare for a team, and now you have that level of change.
Yeah, it definitely creates some unknowns, and been coached against teams that have had this happen in the past, and I don't know if I've seen it where the coordinator has been replaced in these situations. Usually it's just a head coach, but so I guess the one positive thing is we don't play him this week, so we'll have a week to see what they decide to do in that regard. I mean, who's going to be calling the plays, but yeah, I mean, it's just something we'll just have to react to, But it will definitely create some unknowns, definitely create some change, and yeah, I mean, it's next conference opponent, so they will get our full attention, and we'll be absolutely ready. But we'll have to do some extra work to figure out what they may do now, even though you have several games to look at. You're going to have to look at it with a different lens now, with a new interim head coach and a new person calling the plays.
Kind of a two-parter. One is sort of an injury. I think Ashawn's another guy that's kind of been in and out these first few weeks. Kind of where's he at? I don't think he played over the weekend. And then as you think about the bye week as it pertains to health or preparing for other teams, I don't know if it's a little cliche, but how helpful can you almost break this season up into like 3 mini seasons in a way because of where the byes fall? You play 5, then 4, then 3.
We totally did, and like you said. I've been asked about it a couple times, and I have no control over when the buys are placed and when they come. But when I saw the schedule, I liked what I saw. I felt like it broke down from a numerical standpoint in a good way, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I haven't had 2 before since I've been here. So, having the 5 that we've already played, and then having the 4, and then another bye, and then the 3, it gives you a chance to definitely be able to segment your season. You always kind of, put it in thirds, I think, in a lot of ways, at least I have in the past, and how you say, okay, we want to be able to accomplish this, and this along the way. So, but from a physical break and a mental break, that's where the buys really become huge, and so, once again, you don't control it, so you don't get too bent out of shape if it's not the way you want it. But when it does go your way, and what you feel is positive, then you take advantage of it. So for me, it's really about maximizing this time. To be able to get our team refreshed and to be able to have a great plan for the game that follows the bye week, and make sure you're sharp and make sure you're playing your very, very best football, which is what you have to do in the in-conference play now. So, but yeah, I've been, definitely segmented it and talked about it with our team. In fact, we talked about it with our team going into the Michigan State week and what was ahead and how I broke it down and just trying to help our guys. I always try to do a good job of making sure they know the vision for what we're trying to accomplish next. And so we got to take full advantage of it as a staff, and recruiting is a big part of it. We've got to, it gives you an extra whole week of days. You're usually going to get 2 days. You get 42 days of evaluation during the season to use, and so we're going to be able to maximize all those the best of our ability. Yeah, Sean, he's still out. Don't think he'll be back this week. So we'll see what the future holds for him. And he's definitely battled some injuries this year. It's been hard for him, and he's given so much to our program. So, but just wanting to get healthy so he can get back and help us.
I'm sorry. I don't know what your thought on this is, but, and I've seen this for years at Indiana, and I've been around here a long time, and we're not finishing games now any better than we have been for the last 20 years. It's just been that kind of situation. Any ideas on what you can do or how you can get this team to understand how important it is to finish? Because you get the lead, and we got guys celebrating, but it's almost like they already think the game's won, and then we let this team go down and score a touchdown easily. Right. You know what I'm talking about? You
sure.
Understand what I'm saying?
I think, matter of fact, even during the game when we took the lead early in the fourth quarter, got on the headset, guys seemed excited, which you want energy, there's no question about it. But I had said to our guys specifically, I said, fellas, we have a young football team. Teach them how to handle where we are. We have to finish. And so, obviously, we're at that moment addressing it head on. I saw the same thing you saw, being able to handle some level of success, even though you hadn't finished yet, and we did not finish. And so, great teaching time for your guys. I mean, to me, and I know I haven't been here all those years in the past, and I know you've seen a lot of football here, a lot more than I have. But I see it as two things. Number one is youth at this group, all right? And number two, I feel like it's you have to learn how. You do. You have to learn how to finish, learn how to win those kind of games. And to me, now that we're at full bore in conference play, they're going to all be, since I've been here, there have been a lot of to the bitter end battles, and there's not a lot of margin for error. And that was what we talked about today in our team meeting was, so how do you finish the close games? And to me, it's so wrapped up in trusting in the discipline of the preparation to be able to execute in those moments. Because once again, it came down to, which is, there's no rocket science to this. It comes down to a few key plays at the end of a game. I've heard, coaches talk about this forever. It doesn't matter the level. NFL is no different. There's some of their games are one-possession games every single week. And that's how it is in this conference for the most part. And so it's being able to, in the last 4 to 5 minutes of a game, can you execute at a high level? All right. And that to me is the key. And that's where I talked about, I said, so today in our team meeting, all right, I preached so hard about the value of walkthroughs and how critical they are. And that every one of those reps, you have to believe if you're sitting here involved in the walkthrough or you're standing back here, and when we do walkthroughs, we have them literally put all their toes on the same yard line so that they're all locked in, very disciplined, eyes on the key. Now, what's going on in their brain, I don't see, nor do I completely control. All right, they control that, but is how you got to teach them. Though we may be able, because we can't cover everything in a practice rep. Okay, so you better make sure that when you are standing there, whether you're doing the walkthrough or you're watching the walkthrough and taking a mental rep, that may be that play. That a check you have to make against that formational adjustment on defense or that adjustment we got to make. I sat there and listened to, in our offensive staff meetings or our offensive position meetings after, watching the film this morning, just the details of every little thing that make the difference on whether it's, how you set up a block that gets that extra yard that you need to create. If you think about the exchange at the end of the game, or the end of the half, all right, if we did the little details right on offense, the defense never is even on the field the last minute of the game before the half. And they never have a chance to score a touchdown. And we go in 14-all, which that changes everything. And it was a bad snap on the early play that set up, and it forced us to have to punt. Okay, and so those little things that you snap the football hundreds and hundreds of times in the course of but it's executing that critical situation. It's making the check that we have to make on that last touchdown before half that we didn't make, and figuring out why we didn't make it and make sure that mistake doesn't happen again. So those little things to me, those happen in the end of the game as well. And so I'm not trying to, that's how you have to do it, because then once you do it, then the experience of it creates the expectation and the confidence that I can do it again, okay? But we have to experience it. We have to put ourselves in a position to be able to execute at the high level in those moments. Part of it's talent. That's where recruiting comes in. Part of it's depth, because when you don't have enough depth, the fatigue sets in and you make a mental mistake because you're mentally tired, okay? Well, to me, we're addressing those things. But now we got to get it done on the football field, all right? So there's a lot of little things that go into it. But to say how, to me, and sometimes, a really good player makes a really good play. All right? Well, those really good plays need to be made by the Hoosiers, not by the opponent. And that's what it comes down to. And there's a lot of things that lead up to that one play that you have to make, and that's what we're getting to. And to me, it didn't happen on Friday or Saturday night. And that's what has to change. And to me, that's why you just stay the course. And I see. And that's why I was, you're so disappointed and frustrated, because you're right on the cusp. I mean, we were there 2 years ago, against that same team, in my first year as head coach. Now the game kind of felt different, but there was, once again, we had a lead in the fourth quarter, and they ended up finishing out and beating us, And so, once again, and I get it. I mean, I'm just as frustrated as anybody to not to be able to finish. But discouraged, no, See the things we got to address and keep addressing them, and continue to keep coaching and keep teaching and keep finding ways to help us make those game-changing plays in the fourth quarter to finish a game.
Obviously, you're very clear. It's not okay for a loss in any way, shape, or form. Does it encourage you at the very least that you get to focus on details at this point and making those one more plays, those extra plays, as opposed to maybe thinking that there were much bigger?
Oh, there's no question. That's why when you watch the film, you're encouraged and excited about what you're becoming, Not that you like what happened, It's what you see what you're becoming, and what you have a chance with a small thing here and a small thing here that adds up to a big change, which is the difference in the outcome of the game. And that's exactly right. I mean, if you go through, here's the thing, you can go through, I've been in games where the game is still close, but you go back and watch film and say, man, they kind of got after us, but we just found a way to it wasn't like that. This was one of those, it was back and forth the whole game. And with 5 seconds to go in the game, it was 31-31. You played all that almost 64 minutes, and it's 31-31. Okay, and so if you go back and look at the stat, it's kind of that way, And so, so it does. That's where it's different. Okay, but at the same time, you have to finish. So that part doesn't change. It's just us doing a great job as coaches and as players of staying the course and finding ways to finish, and that's the plan.
All right, Tom Allen from his press conference yesterday, his weekly presser. They're on a bye week this week. Indiana does not play. They get to get healed up, rested up, practiced up, get better, and continue to get better. Hopefully they can get those defensive woes worked out. A lot of interesting things there. You heard the Fish bring that question up again about finishing. There are some questions that really need to be answered and asked. I didn't really want to get into it. I don't think a lot of other people did, but they're having some issues with special teams, man. Special teams and defense has got to be cleaned up, but hopefully they can get that done. That's what these next 2 weeks are for, and then they'll come back and get at it. And then tomorrow, like I said, we're going to be live from Chicago. Big Ten Basketball Media Day is going on. We will be up there bringing all that to you. Complete coverage. We'll have it for the rest of the week as well as Archie Miller, Devontae Green, and Deron Davis for Indiana will be up in Chicago with us as well. But that's going to wrap it up today. Thanks a lot to Chronic Hoosier. Thanks to Nick Baumgart. We heard from Don Fisher as well. Until tomorrow for Jake, we appreciate you. He's keeping us on the track. But that's going to wrap it up from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. For Indiana Sports Beat Radio, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.